This is big breaking news. We now have major U.S. cities announcing that, quote, everyone needs to open their doors. Everyone needs to open their doors to deal with this crisis that we are dealing with. All right. That is what's being announced in multiple major U.S. cities. And this program is actually starting to roll out already. There's already people that are in this program, and they are having people dropped off at their homes, and they don't even know how many people are coming. And as soon as you sign up for these programs, you are getting people dropped off at your home within hours. That's exactly what's being announced right now in one of the biggest U.S. cities in the country. And this is coming to more U.S. cities as well. This is going to spread, and it's going to affect our entire country. And this is starting out voluntarily right now, but this could soon be a mandatory program, right? And they are paying people to do this. This is a massive program that is being launched by cities and states for U.S. citizens to house, quote, migrants. Right? That's what's being announced right now, and the plan is already in effect, and people are having migrants dropped off at their homes right now. This is what's happening, and people are kind of in shock that it's happening so fast and how many people are coming. They don't even know what really they're signing up for, and they're having groups dropped off at their homes within hours of getting on these lists. All right, so you need to be getting yourself prepared, because we could see more homes be used for this crisis, right? And we also could see taxation and things like that to help deal with it. If you have extra rooms, potentially there could be fees or taxations. I'm not saying there are, but there could be potentially in the future. And right now, there are programs where the government is paying people up to thousands of dollars. All right, it's different in every area, every city, but up to thousands of dollars to house these, quote, migrants in their home as well. This is happening right now. All right, so let's dive into what's going on. We just had this announced in a major U.S. city in the Northeast. In the Northeast, New England, this region is getting hit hard right now as well with, quote, migrant crossings. All right, you can see here, New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire see record illegal border crossings as more migrants enter through Canada, okay? So Canada does not have the same visa requirements for people traveling from Mexico and certain countries, and they can freely, if they can get to Mexico, they can fly to Canada, or they can just fly into Canada. Canada is very lax with certain visa requirements, and they can fly directly into Canada and then just cross into the U.S. So we are seeing record crossings at the northern border as well, and this is starting to affect the communities there. We are also seeing major shipments of people from the southern border to these regions as well. And one thing really quick too, that I'm not a legal expert or anything like this, but something that doesn't really make sense legally that I was thinking about is that this asylum claim, okay? If people are claiming asylum and you are passing through multiple different countries to get to the U.S., shouldn't you claim asylum in one of these countries that you already passed through? And especially if you are passing through Canada, all right? You should claim asylum in Canada and not be able to come into the U.S. and claim asylum here, especially if you're entering through Canada or even Mexico. Didn't you pass through Mexico? If you pass through a different country, entered into Mexico, then you should claim asylum in Mexico. All right, that's normally how these asylum laws work. But we are allowing, from my understanding at least, but we are allowing people to pass through multiple different countries to get to the U.S. and then still claim these same asylum laws, all right, to get access to these benefits and everything else eventually. All right, so let's get into what's being announced in a major U.S. city in New England as well. In this region that's being overwhelmed, they're facing record illegal border crossings in the Northeast. And now we are seeing these New England cities announce that, quote, everyone needs to start opening their doors. And this program is actually going full effect right now. People are having people show up at their homes and housing them right now. I want you to listen to this clip. This is from a CBS News post out of Boston, Massachusetts. And I will also give you the quote and the video of what this Boston official is also saying as well after this. But listen to what this couple is saying that signed up for this program that is now in full effect in cities like Boston and spreading. New York also just announced a similar program as well, the New York mayor, and they are paying people to do this. Listen to what this couple said out of Boston.
Alan and Jessica Stokes called the state to sign up to be a host family. It took less than an hour for the displaced migrants to be dropped off at their door.
I gotta get sheets on the bed. How many people are coming? Where are they from? What ages? We really knew nothing.
The need is so clearly overwhelming.
The family of four who didn't want to go on camera had been sleeping at Logan Airport. The parents and two kids journeyed from Chile to Texas, then Massachusetts, and there are so many stories like it.
It boggles the mind that there are so many hundreds of those stories.
All right, so that's what this couple is saying out of Massachusetts. She was saying, we don't know. She said, how many people are coming? Where are they from? What are their ages? She said, we knew nothing. All right, she said she's got to get sheets on the bed because they said within an hour of signing up from this, they were having arrivals at their home. So this program's rolling out in full effect, and we could see this spread to more homes if this crisis does not have a solution very soon. All right, we could potentially see this situation spread to more cities and this program spread, and maybe even mandatory in certain areas. Not saying it is, but it could become mandatory if this crisis gets bad enough, or at least you could have a penalty for not participating in this program if you have extra rooms or things along those lines. All right, so that's what's happening in our country, and this is what a Boston representative, a Boston official just warned of as well. This is what she just announced. She said everyone needs to open their doors. She's saying other cities need to do this, and she's saying this program needs to spread and more people need to be a part of this program. Okay, and there's actually a federal government program for this as well, directed by the White House and the State Department. I reported on that a few days ago, how they started this program as well. So the federal government's doing it. They are housing people and paying them. And we also have the states and cities announcing it too. I want you to listen to this councilwoman out of Boston. All right, this is what she said.
At Wellesley, Brookline, cities and towns that have so much more resources than the city of Boston.
Boston City Councilwoman Julia Mejia thinks more migrants can be placed outside of Boston.
I think everybody needs to start opening up their doors because this is a shared responsibility.
Controversy over the placement of surging immigrants comes as a new report links immigrants who settle in Massachusetts to economic benefits for the region.
All right, so you heard that. That was Boston City Councilwoman Julia Mejia. All right. And she said that everyone needs to start opening their doors, and this is a shared responsibility. That's a quote. And she was also mentioning these other communities like Brookline that are outside of Boston. They're saying that they need to start stepping up as well. And she's saying they have more resources, they have bigger homes, wealthier neighborhoods, that they could house these more communities. All right, I believe this couple that I just showed you this clip of, I believe they are in Brookline. All right, and that's one of the communities that she mentioned. All right, so this is happening. This is spreading, and the New York City mayor announced this as well just last month. He was saying that we need to step up. He was saying that this money needs to go to private citizens instead of going to these corporations, right? And he said there's no more room and people need to start housing people privately, right? So this is the next phase. This is what's going to happen in these major cities, and you need to be prepared and be ready if you live in them. If you live in these sanctuary cities, they are being dismantled right now, right? They are under a national security threat right now. And we also just had the Biden administration announce that they're going to stop ICE deportations in these major cities as well. All right, they've already blocked them in these sanctuary cities, but they're saying that they do not have enough funding. All right, I believe it's come down to just $1 billion that they do not have for ICE to activate deportations of felonious aliens that are in the country, right? So this is what's happening. The situation is deteriorating. It's getting worse every single day. And this is the logical conclusion, right? We've seen this coming. We knew that this was going to be the plan because there's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go. They've taken over all the parks. They've taken over all the community centers. They've taken over schools, hospitals, airports. All these places have been converted into, quote, migrant shelters. And now there's no more room. There's no more spaces. Now we're going to see this stepping up of housing people, housing migrants in your home, okay? And it's just one of these things where we already have millions of homeless Americans. We have hundreds of thousands of homeless vets. We have hundreds of thousands of homeless children, maybe millions of homeless children. All right, I'm not even sure on the exact numbers. There are millions of homeless people in the U.S. that are U.S. citizens, and we are not providing the same resources and same access and same generosity to people that have lived here our whole lives, our neighbors. I bet there's a ton of U.S. veterans that live in Boston, Massachusetts, patriots that are struggling now. Okay, struggling. It's hard. My dad was a vet on 100% disability, and it's a battle. It's a battle just to get your benefits that you were owed, and then the other battle is just to survive in normal life after things change. Okay, so this is what's going on in our country, and we are not even providing the same resources to American citizens. That's the thing that just, it doesn't make sense here. It doesn't make sense. And the border needs to be shut down. The northern border is being overwhelmed. The southern border is being overwhelmed. And it's unsustainable for our country to deal with. So please hit it up for me down there. Hit that subscribe. Hit that bell. Click all if you want to get notified. I'm posting a video every single day, keeping you guys updated. Click that like and let me know what you guys think of this situation, right? Would you house a, quote, migrant? Would you do this? Would you do it for money? How much money would it take? Or are you against this? And do you think this is potentially a national security risk and even liability risk and civil liability issues for the homeowners, landowners? They could be in squatting situations after a certain time frame. Okay, it could almost be impossible to evict these people that are moving in. It's a major liability risk for anyone that's involved in this. And I'm sure that the government would not take any accountability if something happened to anyone that was in this program to their safety. If there was a compromise of their safety of anyone that was in this program, I'm sure they would not take accountability. All right, and one thing that is also being pushed as well, I saw this article coming out of the Detroit Free Press. This is a real article. They said opening the southern border would make the U.S. safer. It says the U.S. immigration crisis at the border can't be solved by current political framing. It has to be fixed in our backyards. All right, and then they went on to say that this is actually an economic opportunity, and this will cause our economy to boom if we let in tens of millions of people from who knows where. It will actually just be a boom for our economy and will make us safer. All right, that's what this is, a real article. Opening the southern border would make the U.S. safer. This is just dystopian clown world stuff. We are coming full circle with this, where it's indefensible what's happening in this crisis. So now they just have to say we should just open it even more because it's good. All right, we've reached this full circle, Orwellian circle here, where it's just everything becomes the opposite. All right, and check out this post that was made by the President of the United States, Biden. Okay, this was posted on X last night, and it's just a very dystopian photo. All right, this was posted at 10:50 p.m. by Joe Biden on his official X account with the caption, quote, "just like we drew it up." This was right after the Super Bowl ended, and the alt text on the image said, quote, "Dark Brandon." Okay, so they've really pushed this Dark Brandon idea into the mainstream lately. All right, the past 6 months to a year, it has been normalized. Actually, the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris official press page on social media, it has a Dark Brandon profile picture. Right, they've really embraced this, and they've been pushing this out, and it's very dystopian. It's very dystopian. We know what this means. We know what they're doing. We know what they're signaling. And it's just like they're mocking us. They're mocking us just like we drew it up. And it just feels like we're in this late stage dystopia. All right, things could only go so far in this direction. And it could even be alluding to things like the Super Bowl and things like how media is controlled. Potentially these things are even controlled and manipulated. Right? It's all just, it's dystopian. Just imagine if Trump was posting dark Trump stuff. Dark Trump. He was embracing this dark Trump idea and this weird, it would be strange. People would be freaking out. People would say this is insane, but if Biden does it, it's like edgy and cool. Right? That's what it's being presented as. And it's dystopian. All right. Some other news here on the end. We also had a few earthquakes in California. All right. There were multiple earthquakes in Southern California, right on the border of Mexico. You can see here it says a series of earthquakes were reported near El Centro Monday, the largest, a 4.8 magnitude just after midnight, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. It says less than 2 miles northwest of El Centro struck at 12:36 a.m. And it also says a 3.5 magnitude earthquake struck later at 6 a.m., a 3.4, and a 3.0, right, in the aftershocks and the readjustment and realignments, all right? So we've seen a lot of tectonic activity in this region as well. There was an earthquake in Los Angeles just a few days ago, and then there was a pretty big earthquake in Hawaii, right on the island, thankfully. I believe it was a 6.8 a few days ago on the same day that this Los Angeles one happened as well. And thankfully it was right on the island, because if it happened in the water off the coast, it could have caused a tsunami. So make sure you are getting prepped. Make sure you are getting ready. Make sure you are getting your homestead going for 2024. All right, we are growing a big garden out here. All right, we got a bunch of new chickens. We're growing out a new flock of chickens. All right, this is a barred rock chick. You've probably heard of that. They're the ones that have the black and white checkered pattern stripes all throughout them. All right, this is a barred rock chick. Very good egg layer, lays brown, large eggs. All right, you need to be getting stocked up, you need to be getting prepped, and you need to be getting your homestead ready to go, because these systems are going to be strained. We could see shortages, we could see disruptions and major strains on the food supply chain, the housing supply chain, all right? materials, all these things are going to be stressed. Vehicles, all these things are going to have more pressure and potentially more inflation, all right? And they say this is why you need to be growing your food as well, to combat inflation, because they say, oh, inflation's only 3% now. Well, it still went up 7%, 10% every single month for the past 3 years, and it didn't go down. So the price is still doubled, and now it's just only going up 3% instead of 7% every month. So that's not really a win until it's deflation, until the price actually readjusts back down to a stable, normal, or wages go up enough. But that is not happening. Wages are not catching up to this, and you can catch up by doing little things like growing your own food, growing your own eggs. Eggs are crazy. If you want free range, organic, brown eggs, you're gonna pay $10 a dozen at some places. All right, so get your own flock going, get some meat birds going, get your garden going, and get ready to go for what's in 2024. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.